I'm not a dictator. Tony Hawk says he didn't force Bam Margera into Pro Skater 3 and 4, but is thankful Activision agreed. Margera's inclusion in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 was very last minute. So this is a topic that I kind of thought I was going to be done stop talking about and everything like that, with Bam Margera and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, especially with it being so close to it actually getting released. I figured that this was kind of the end of it. We got the information that Bam wasn't going to be included, and then he was, and then he wasn't again, and then he was again. So seeing this information coming out, I figured it was just one more video I can probably do on the subject more than likely. And yeah, I thought it was really cool with the whole aspect of Tony Hawk going to Activision and kind of telling them like, "Hey, you're gonna include him in this game," and then kind of being like, "No, we can't. It's too late." And him be like, "No, you're gonna do it." I thought that was awesome, especially because you know what I mean. If him and Bam Margera are friends, that it's something where he's sticking up for someone that he knows and cares about, which I thought was always pretty cool. And hearing the information when it was first released and everything, I never looked at Tony Hawk as like a dictator, like he's stating here that it was something that like he's forcing his hand into what he's gonna have happen, and that's kind of him ruling. I thought it was just him looking out for a friend, which I always thought was pretty cool. So some of the information that we had gotten, we'll see right here in this article, just kind of speaks a little bit more truthfully as to what happened in regards to him speaking with Activision and everything like that, which is still pretty cool. You know what I mean? The fact that Tony Hawk was able to stick up for Bam Margera, which is something I thought was awesome, just because I've known of these guys, growing up and everything like that. I always knew Tony Hawk as like the best skater in the world, kind of a dude. So that was actually pretty cool to see, this information coming out with him sticking up for his friend. And then obviously with Bam Margera, it was one of those things where, I grew up watching Viva La Bam. I seen him with the Jackass crew and everything like that. So seeing this information come out, I thought was actually pretty cool. So figured it was something we can look into and kind of see what had happened. So as stated right here, it says, well, here's what happened. The Live Club co-star Roger Bailey claimed in a podcast in March the game was already done. Tony called up Activision and was like, hey, we're putting Bam in the thing. And they were like, hey, we can't. He goes, no, you're going to do it. And basically made them fly Bam out there to get the body scan and everything else and get him back into the game. Without addressing Bailey's comments directly, Hawk was now implied a different version has now applied a different version of events, suggesting that he requested Margera's inclusion in the game rather than demanding it. So I'm not a dictator in terms of how the game is run, Hawk told Polygon, but I did connect with Bam recently, and he's in a really good place and skating a lot. He just seemed highly motivated, and it felt like we should bring that energy back to the game. It was all very last minute, I will say that. I'm thankful that he was agreeable and that Activision was into it. He got scanned in record time. Perhaps as a result of the last minute scan, Margera in game character won't feature his voice when he falls off the board or fails a trick. And that's one of the cool things, you know what I mean? Like, even if Tony Hawk probably, like he stated, wasn't like demanding it, but was just like, hey, can we do this? Can we make this happen? Seeing the way that Tony Hawk is and everything like that from like podcasts and the way that he talks to people, I can definitely see it where he wasn't like demanding and trying to be like he stated, a dictator, where he's telling him like, no, this is gonna happen and you're gonna do this. But the fact that he stated himself that it was just more of like a suggestion to see if they could make it happen, that seems like it'll probably be more in line with his character. And the fact that they were able to work with him and he was able to actually make it happen is, again, something that I think is really cool, because it shows that he is sticking up for his friend and he has his buddies back when it comes down to this type of stuff, which is really cool to see, as well as the fact that seeing that Bam Margera is in a better place from what it looks like, because there is, the little behind the scenes interview they have him do for the video game, as well as the TMZ video that I had done a video on a few months back, where he is talking to TMZ. He is giving his thoughts on the whole thing and everything like that. Bam does seem like he is in a good spot. He seems very positive. He seems like he's in a good place, which is really cool to see. Just because, with there being the news that had came out a few years back that he was in a dark place after Ryan Dunn had passed away, and things weren't really going too well for him in regards to his personal life, things with him and his family. So seeing that he is in a better place, he is doing well, and that he is able to actually do well enough so that he was able to be included into this game is something I think is really cool. It's really cool for Tony Hawk to have his back. It's really cool for Bam Margera because it does seem like he is in a better place, and it's really cool for the fans because at the end of the day, people that played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, obviously for those that have that nostalgia for the game, being able to see Bam be back a part of it and everything like that, especially knowing that everything that he's gone through and the stuff that he's some of itself caused because of his own self. Obviously that's on him, at the end of the day. But seeing that he is in a better place and he is able to kind of bump back from that, that's really cool to see, man. That's a something that you always want to see happen. You always want to see people get that second chance kind of a thing. So seeing that was able to happen with Bam Margera is really cool. It's really awesome to see, and I'm really glad that was able to be the case for him because of the fact that, like I stated, he was someone that I seen growing up. He was someone that was a part of the skating crew, and from what it sounds like, he is skating to this day, which is awesome. I'm really hoping that is one of the things that's kind of helped him get into a better place. I don't know if he's necessarily sober or if he hasn't done any of the abusive stuff that he's done in the past. Maybe it was like drugs or alcohol and stuff like that. But hopefully being able to actually get back on the board, do some skating and kind of just let loose and just kind of get back into that skating zone is some of the stuff that's helped him kind of get back into a better place and be able to be, as positive as he seems like he is from the videos that we've seen in the past. So who knows as far as what's going on with him in his personal life. Only him and his people that he's close with, I'm sure, able to see that. But I'm sure being able to actually be included into this game and not just be included, but to know that his buddy, his friend, Tony Hawk, was able to do what he could to make sure that was the case is something that kind of adds to more of the positivity that he's able to kind of experience in more recent times. So kudos to him and kudos to Tony Hawk, man. You know what I mean? I feel like that's really cool to see, and I'm just really hoping that with the what lies in the future with Bam, and his family situation, his substance situation, all that stuff just kind of stays in the positive. You know what I mean? He is able to hopefully either remain sober, or if he's not sober, it just remain in a good place where he is able to kind of stay positive the way that he has, because you know what I mean? That is, again, always a redemption story that you want to kind of see happen, where people are able to kind of go from a dark place where they're kind of in a low spot in their life and really just come back and be able to change things and turn it around in a positive way. So yeah, I'm really glad to see it, and I hope for the best for all of them. You know what I mean? Not just Bam Margera, but for Tony Hawk, because he's able to, from what it seems like from this story, be a good friend for those that he cares about, which is really cool. So those are my thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Are you guys glad to hear, that Bam Margera is doing better, is doing well? I know that there were some comments where people were kind of speculating that, if he was included in this game, all that money and all that stuff is just going to go towards drugs and it's going to kind of ruin him and kind of make things worse. But from the looks of it, I'm really hoping that isn't the case, and it seems like he is in a good spot in his life, and I'm just hoping that's kind of where he's at and everything like that. So if you guys can let me know your guys' thoughts about all that in the comments, if you guys could like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you guys have been watching this long, I really appreciate it. It means a lot. And yeah, until next time, Harmonic out. Peace.